there is no organic goat farming system in India. There are certain people who are claiming that we are involved in the organic goat farming, but in fact, probably there is no perfect certification, or they are not producing, in fact, the organic goats. So accordingly, we decided that we should have at least one discussion with regard to the sustainable organic goat farming. And I believe that this presentation will be really valuable or important to the group members. And if not, at least it will create certain awareness with regard to the organic goat farming. So before starting the topic, at least we should understand what exactly the goat farming, or you can say the organic farming, is. Basically, it seems to be a holistic production management system which promotes and enhances the agro ecosystem health. And it is a combination of three components, that is biodiversity, biological cycles, and soil activity, or you can say the soil biological activity. And the basic purpose of this approach is to emphasize the use of farm practices in preference to utilize the off-farm inputs. This farming is basically based on the four principles. The first is principle of health, second is principle of ecology, third is principle of fairness, and fourth is principle of care. The principle of health indicates to sustain and enhance the health of the soil, plant, animal, human, and planet as one and indivisible. It means we have to take into account the health with respect to soil, plant, and each and every living organism which is available on the earth, along with the planet. So soil has to be taken into consideration, as well as each and every component which is available on the earth. This has to be taken into account. The principle of ecology states a system based on the living ecological and cycles which can work along with them, which can emulate them and help to sustain them. So finally, we would like to evolve a system wherein the ecology principally can be managed as a whole. Third is the principle of fairness. This indicates to build a relationship that can ensure fairness with regard to the common environment as well as the life opportunities. And finally, the principle of the care, by which we can manage a precautionary and reasonably manner to protect the health and well-being of the current as well as the future generations, as well as the environment. So as a whole, we can say that the main theme of organic farming is not only think about the self, but we have to care with regard to all. Rather, we have to take care of each and every component which is available worldwide or on earth. The basic aims of the organic farming include to produce the food of high quality in the sufficient quantity. In general, we say the quantity is more important as compared to the quality. But in organic farming, that both components have to be taken into account, or we have to give the equal emphasis towards the quantity as well as quantity of the product. Then to interact in a constructive and the life enhancing way with the natural system. So important issue is we have to produce the product in a natural system. Of course, there will be some deviation with regard to the naturality of the item, but even then we would like to have the consensus that the naturality of the system should be affected least. Consideration of the wide social as well as the ecological impact. This indicates the system should not affect the social as well as the ecological impact. So accordingly, we are maintaining it. To maintain the genetic diversity, the one of the most important component of the organic farming is to maintain the genetic diversity. The genetic diversity includes the each breed variety, the fauna, or you can say the flora. So our emphasis would be to maintain every genetic diversity. So we have not to be biased with regard to a particular one. Rather, we have to think for all. Then, to promote the healthy use of natural resources, whatever resources we have, they have to be utilized in the healthy fashion. To create the harmonious balance between the crop as well as the animal production, we all understand there is a linear relationship between the animal as well as the crop production. So this balance has to be maintained. We cannot be biased towards anyone. So we cannot give the more credit to the crop or to the animal. But there have to be balance between two to promote the animal welfare. Now everyone is talking about the livestock welfare. The reason is the quality of the product is very much associated with the livestock welfare. So this system promotes the maintenance of the animal welfare in the natural fashion. Then to minimize the pollution, of course, we are suffering all with regard to the air pollution, water pollution, or the soil pollution, even the product pollution. So this pollution has to be minimized. And this is one of the mandate of the organic farming to provide the safe working environment. Yes. So this environment should be the fittest for the animals as well as the plants, and it has to be the safe. So that should be the aim. Then to progress towards an entire production, processing, distribution chain, both socially just and ecologically responsible. So not only this, we have to integrate each and every component of the supply chain, started from production to distribution. So under organic farming system, now we are trying to capture each and every component. The basic characteristics of an ideal organic livestock farming systems include the easy market acceptability. Of course, one of the most important thing, because whenever we talk about the organic production, then the question comes the marketing or whether buyers are there for that particular product or not. And it is the economic concept, because the financial viability of the livestock program depends only this issue. So market accessibility should be there, definitely. So we have to identify the market, and thereafter only we can take this kind of the concept. Then good access to shelter and water sources. This is the requirement of the animal or the inputs which are required for the livestock industry as per the organic livestock farming is concerned. Mix of livestock species in order to dilute the disease challenge. This is one of the most important component when we organize the organic livestock farm system. Whenever we talk about the organic livestock farm system, then we also take into account the different spread of the diseases. So if one particular disease is coming in a particular livestock, then we can have the different species which can be saved from that particular disease. So accordingly, it is always suggested that this picture should be of mixing of livestock species in order to dilute the different challenges. Avoid mixed age groups to minimize the risk of spread of the respiratory infections. This is not only required for the organic livestock farming, but this is the general concept. The animals of a particular group, they have to be classified into the different groups, and then they have to be managed in a separate identity or in a separate confinement, so that any kind of the infection should not be spread among them. To eliminate the stress of the regular transport, this is again one important aspect of the organics. Then to protect entry of the new disease organism into the farm. So this aspect has also to be taken care of. So entry of the new animals should be restricted as far as possible. So these are the different characteristics of an ideal organic farming system. When we talk about the conventional farms, then usually we use the three terminologies. One is the conventional farming system, and this is the ordinary system which is being followed in the entire world. And this is based on input of the artificial fertilizers or the chemicals or the pesticides, and they are being used in the conformity with the basic standards of a particular production system. So this is said to be as the conventional farming system. Conversion or the transition, this indicates when a particular conventional system is changed or modified towards the organic production system, then it is said to be the conversion towards organic system. So this is said to be as conversion or the transition. And basically, this indicates the process of changing a livestock farm from conventional to the organic system. And conversion period, as usual, it has been indicated by the terminology itself. This is the time between the start of the organic management and the certification as the organic. So when we have the conventional system and ultimately it is going to be converted towards the organic system, so how much time it is being taken up? So this is known as the conversion period. The length of conversion period basically depends on the accredited certification program. And this specifies the length of time for the animal production standards. It depends for the different organic farming systems. For the meat production, it is only the 6 months. It means within a 6 month of period, the conventional farm can be converted into the organic farm after 6 months. For milk production, the period is lengthy and it is 90 days during implementation and after that the 6 months. It means 3 months initially and 6 months later on. So altogether, we need 9 months. So for meat period, or you can say for the meat production, the period is lesser as compared to the milk production. The system includes the 3 conversion steps. 1, introducing more natural systems and modifying housing to reduce the animal stress. So whatever management system has to be implemented for the organic animal production, it has to be in a order so that there should be the minimum stress on the animal. Then eliminating practices such as routine veterinary inputs gradually to gain confidence. This is one of the most important aspects. We cannot learn organic farming immediately. Rather, the conventional farm has to be shifted towards the organic farm. So first and the important aspect is the elimination of the routine veterinary inputs. It means the treatment aspect has to be removed gradually or slowly. And this can be done only through the gaining the confidence. Otherwise, we cannot go for the organic farm production. And ultimately, the integrating livestock into the whole farming system along with the organic crop production. Whenever we talk about the organic livestock production, so at the same time, the fodder which is in organic nature, this is again the integrated part of the organic livestock system. So agriculture as well as the livestock, both components have to be made with respect to the organic production system. The major considerations of the organic livestock systems are: we have the basic requirement of the land, and this system is characterized with respect to the more farmland. So of course, whenever we talk about the organic livestock farming, it requires the more land. Again, the landless animal husbandry system is not allowed, because in principle we agree that more land is required. So landless animal husbandry system cannot be allowed, or landless laborers are not eligible to go for the organic farming unless they have land on lease. So this is the option with them. Otherwise, the farmers who are not having the sufficient land, they cannot go for the organic farming. The animal manure has to be diverted to the field to maintain the fertility of the soil. Ultimately, we have to make the integration between the soil as well as the manure or the livestock production. So this conversion system has to be restricted or it has to be maintained. The final purpose or the objective is to recycle the nutrients between the plants as well as the animals. When we talk about the stocks, then the requirement is the selection of the breeds or the strains. This system never allows the rearing of the crossbred animals. The reason is they are not adapted. There is no other reason. The simplified reason or the logical reason seems to be the adaptation of the crossbreds with respect to the particular agroclimatic conditions. So accordingly, the preference should be given only to the local breeds. The reason, they are well adapted to the local conditions. They are more vital and they are assumed to be more resistant to the different diseases. So accordingly, we should give more focus to the indigenous breeds whenever we claim for the organic farming system. And they are selected to avoid the specific disease or the health problems. And this is only possible with regard to the indigenous livestock. But even then, if we talk about the crossbreds, if crossbred has completed more than 10 generations or the 20 generations in a particular land or in a particular piece of the area, or we assume or we claim that this crossbred population has also been adapted to that particular condition or the agroclimatic region, then of course there is a no logical reason to neglect them. So we can also rear them as the origin of the stock, or we can consider them for the organic animal husbandry. The first requirement of any of the farm is the bought in animals. We have to purchase the animals. So first condition is the animals born and raised on organic holding, they have to be purchased. So the first requirement of the breeding stock is only those animals can be purchased at the farm in order to establish the organic farm which have been born and raised on the organic holding. And they should not be dependent on the conventional raising system. When trading or exchanging livestock, they should also be involved between the organic farms or a part of long-term cooperation between the farms. It means we must have a sufficient cooperation between the organic farms, and within those farms only we can change our animals. When organic livestock are not available, yes, this is also possible. When we are in a particular region in a process to start the organic farming, then there will not be any possibility to have the organic livestock as a whole. So in this case, the certification program allows brought in conventional animals according to the prescribed age limit. For that purpose also, we have the provisions to have the livestock which have been produced at the conventional farms, but ultimately they have to be converted into the organic farms. Different accredited certification programs that specify their age limits. The process of conversion is less complicated in the small ruminants, and in general we say that lambs and kids which are reared at a organic farm for equal to 60 days or more than 60 days, then we can say that they are the organic. And these animals can be purchased or they can be transferred into the organic chain. It means the kids or the lambs which have been reared for 60 days under the organic farming chain, up to 60 days, so they can be brought or they can be managed at the farm. If completely non-organic animals, Then there is a restriction according to the standard for females per year. And this restriction is up to 20% adult ovine or caprine maximum. They can be purchased from any of the non-organic farm to the organic farm. Or you can say the one animal per year per unit that can be purchased. So you can say, in other words, if you are going to maintain a farm of the 100 animals, then 20 animals per year you can purchase from the any farm which is non-organic in the nature. Similarly, less than 5 ovine or the caprine animals can be purchased. So basically this is the number game, and accordingly the basic thumb rule is that 20% livestock from any of the non-organic farm can be purchased annually. The housing conditions for an organic livestock farm, they must satisfy the needs of the animals concerned with respect to the light, space, and it should be optimum to express the natural behavior. It means the animal should have the sufficient space to express the natural behavior. Accordingly, the cornerstones of the housing should be the loose housing with accessibility of the outdoor access as well as the use of bedding whenever required. So finally, we can say that the system of the housing for the organic livestock farm must be comprehensive and it should be up to date so that the animals could express their natural behavior. Systems followed for goat rearing by the organic producer: ensure that sufficient space has been provided in order to express the natural behavior. Then rotational system should be followed where houses are provided in the different paddocks. So purpose is the goats should be moved frequently or the seasonality wise in the rotational manner in the different sheds. And it will automatically prevent the building up of the parasites to the environment from the overgrazing. The provision of shelter must be there and with a larger exercise area where the feed and the browse brought to the animals. It means the shelter should be there, the access area should be there with respect to the exercise, and the feeding and the browsing area should be there. So accordingly, we should prepare the housing plan of the individual. Plenty of space for running as well as the jumping. Again and again, the same thing is being followed for expression of the behavior. The barn with access to the different grazing areas. A barn should also be there. Confine animals to a shelter outdoor exercise area in the winter. So in winter season, there must be a confined area where we can capture or we can control the animals. Well ventilated and the dry barns with the plenty of the bedding. In case of specifically the winter season, the bedding have to be provided. In general, there should be the quiet and hardy animals if fed adequate fibers. Goats are assumed to be very hardy animal if they are fed adequate fibers. So accordingly, in most of the cases, the occurrence of the diseases are lower as compared to the other livestock, but even there are diseases. So accordingly, the things have to be managed. The minimum space requirement for the goats, we have the indoor area as well as the outdoor area. So according to this specification, the area has to be provided for the organic housing system. Similarly, the maximum number of the animals, this is one of the critical or the important aspect whenever we talk about the organic farming. For goats, we can only have the 14 maximum, or you can say the adult goats per hectare of the land. This is why generally we say whenever we talk about the goat organic farming, then this can only be done by the persons who are having the sufficient land. Otherwise, this is not possible by the persons who are landless or who are having the minimum land. So land requirement is comparatively more. The feeding must be the balanced one, having energy, the protein as well as the mineral. So it should maintain the health, the product quality as well as the ecological soundness. There should be the species specific diet. So accordingly, the goat should have the specific diet which is meant for the goat according to the physiology of the animal. Otherwise, also we categorize the different animals in the different groups and accordingly we feed them. Maximized grazing is the keyword which is applicable for the organic goat farming system. Whenever requirement is there, supplement minerals, the trace elements as well as the vitamins. Whenever there is a requirement and the things are not available accordingly. But any of the case may be 80% of the feed must be from the organic sources. Again, the restriction because we are going to plant the organic goat. So accordingly, the requirement is the 80% of the feed should be from the organic sources. Balanced diet by adjusting the different protein levels or we can complement the different forage levels. Maximum 40% concentrate can be added into the diet. The forage quality plays the important role. The grain feeding label should not be more than 0.3 to 0.5% of the body weight to prevent the interface with the fiber digestion. So the concentrate is the restriction and according to the restricted amount only, we have to give the diet. Force feeding is forbidden in case of the organic livestock. So we have to obey or we have to follow only the balanced diet. The force feeding cannot be given to any category of the goats. Young animals should be on the maternal milk for minimum of 45 days. Maximum use of the grazing pasture should be there and at least 60% of the dry matter must be available to the goat from the roughage. This should also be supplied through fresh or the dried fodder. Silage can also be complemented whenever the grazing facilities are not there. At least 60% feed must come from the farm unit itself. Again, this is restriction or rather recommendation. When we talk about the organic farming system, then 60% of the feed must be produced from the farm itself and 40% we can purchase from another organic farm. So altogether, we have to provide 100% feed from the organic nature. If not feasible, produce in cooperation with other organic farms in the same region. So this is the final recommendation. Develop a proper cropping system. Produce high quality forages in the adequate quantity, which can meet the majority of the nutrients, and it should have the sufficient dry matter to maintain the production as well as the growth and maintain sufficient pasture for the grazing. In conversion feed, some restrictions are there, but some relaxations have also been given. Feed materials from the products in conversion to the organic farming. Now we can also expect that the agriculture or the fodder production is also under the conversion. So when this is the case, then up to 30% feed from in conversion feeding stuffs can be given to the organic unit. But this is only 30%. It means whenever we have a farm in the in conversion duration, then 30% of the feed can be given to the goats. 100% when in conversion feeding stuffs come from a unit of itself. If my farm is under in conversion, then I can feed 100% of the feed to the goats. Up to 20% feeding stuffs in first year of conversion from the grazing. If my farm is under conversion, then I can feed 20% of the feeding stuffs from the grazing in the first year of the conversion. More than that is not allowed, or this kind of the restriction have to be followed. So it means ultimately we have to go for the organic feeding only, and this relaxation will be received after 1 year. So up to 1 year, either I can go for 30% of the feed in conversion or 100% of the in-conversion feed which is available at my own unit, or 20% of the feeding stuff in the in-conversion which is in the first year of in-conversion at my own farm. Non-organic feed material, it may belong to plant category or the animal origin. It may be produced or prepared without chemical solvents. It may belong to the non-organic spices, herbs, molasses, provided that their organic form is not available, like salt, the coarse rock, like this. So this can be used only 1% of the feed ration. So again and again, the non-organic feed material in terms of plant or the animal origin can be allowed up to 1% of the feed ration. This is the restriction finally. Products which cannot be included in the organic chain, the synthetic growth regulators, urea, synthetic appetizers, cleaning agents, medicated feeds, farm animal byproducts, genetically modified crops, the hormones. These we cannot add in the organic animal production system. Only those breeds are preferred which are most adapted to the local climatic conditions. So accordingly, we should prefer local, native as well as the pure breeds. The breeding goal should be not in opposition to animals' natural behavior. It means whatever breeding program we implement, it should not be against the animal's natural behavior, and it should be directed towards the good health. The reproduction technique, this is always natural in case of organic farming system. AI, of course, it can be recommended or it can be implemented, but this is only allowed upon veterinary necessity. This indicates if animal is not going to pregnant, then only this kind of action can be taken. Otherwise, in natural term or in general action, it is not recommended. ETT, not allowed. Hormonal heat treatment as well as the induced birth, not allowed unless for medical reasons under the veterinary advice only this is permissible. Use of genetically engineered species or the breeds, they are not allowed under organic goat production. The breeds, they should be basically based on the principle of the naturalness, preferable, take place within the organic chain and separately from the conventional sector. It means the animals which are not being reared at the conventional sector or under the conventional production system, they should be only taken for the organic production system. The breeding strategy should be taken in a such a way so that we can maximize the profitability to safeguard the animal health as well as the welfare, and it should only focus on conserving the genetic diversity, and it should promote the human health. It means it should not have any counter effect among the animals as well as the human being. The healthcare, one of the important component in any of the livestock system, including the organic production system. So the preventing health strategies should be taken up in order to have the self-contained herds as well as the flocks. So accordingly, we should have the appropriate choice of the breed. We should have the minimum incidence of the disease. We should go for breeding with regard to the parasitic as well as the disease resistance. So we should choose the breed which should have the properties of the parasitic as well as the disease resistance. Suckling with mother, it should be the phenomena, and then the natural weaning, it should be practiced. Access to pasture during the growing season. The male, female, the kids, they all should be access to pasture during the growing season in order to have the good health of the different category of the goats. There must be the adequate nutrition. We should regular monitor the feed as well as the physiology as well as the health. Establish the good clean grazing system with low stocking density. Yes, the stocking density is one of the most important component which can spread the variety of the diseases. So that is why we generally say that the stocking density should be as per the recommendation or the protocol. There should be the mixed grazing. The mixed grazing indicates the grazing of the different species. If one species has grazed, then thereafter the second species. Alternating species from the 1 year to another year. This is basically important for maintaining the good growth of the forages as well as to restrict the growth of the different parasites. The housing must be the very proper. Use of the hay as well as the silage can be done, and there should be the supply of the proper or the adequate bedding whenever required, especially in case of winter. All vaccinations required by law of land shall be permitted. So basically, it will depend on the certification agency and the local climatic conditions where this authority has authorized the different vaccination programs. So we can go for all the vaccination programs which have been given or authorized by the certification agency. There are different items prohibited. The preventive treatments and the drugs for the enhancing productivity of the fertility, it is totally prohibited. Use of allopathic veterinary drug, this is again prohibited. Antibiotics, we cannot use. The drugs derived from genetically modified source, we cannot go for them. Growth stimulants, agents or substances used for the purpose of stimulating growth or the production, we can also not use them. Hormonal treatment for therapeutic reasons and under veterinary supervision only. We can go for hormonal treatment only with the restriction with veterinary supervision or the control program only whenever there is a necessity. The treatment and prevention of the diseases and under performers, we can use the herbal or the phytotherapeutic medicines excluding the antibiotics. We can also go for homeopathic drugs. Ayurvedic products can also be utilized for the healthcare management. The use of allopathic veterinary drugs or the antibiotics can also be used, but when there is no alternative therapeutics or preventive measures effective in combative illness or the injury. It means whenever veterinarian feels the disease is not curable without use of antibiotics, in that case only we can use a particular antibiotics. It should be under the responsibility and supervision of a veterinarian only. And in this case, there is a mandatory withdrawal period and it has been provided under the guidelines. So accordingly, the mandatory withdrawal period has to be followed. If not available, then minimum 48 hours of withdrawal period for drugs where withdrawal periods are not prescribed have to be utilized. Otherwise, in general, the use of antibiotics or any kind of the hormones is not justified or it is restricted in organic animal production system. These are the different diseases for which the flocks have to be diagnosed or flocks have to be tested. For manure as well as the urine excreta management, the system has to be followed in such a way so that it could minimize the soil and the water degradation. There should not be significantly contribution to the contamination of the water. It should optimize the recycling of the nutrients and it should not include the burning or any practice inconsistent with the organic practice. So this kind of activities should be followed for the disposal of the manure as well as the urine. Other management practices, the dehorning is not allowed at all, but even then it can be done if intended to improve the health, if enhances the animal welfare, if promotes the hygiene of the livestock on a case by case basis. It means in general we cannot go for the dehorning, but under a special or the restricted case it can be followed. Anesthesia, This can only be followed at most appropriate age by the qualified personnel to reduce the suffering. So this can be done. The physical castration, this is allowed to maintain the quality of the products. The traditional production practices under the prescribed conditions have to be followed. The loading and unloading of the animals without electrical stimulations have to be done. And allopathic tranquilizers prior to or during the transport, it has to be prohibited. So during the transport, we cannot use the allopathic tranquilizers. Again, with respect to the detail of the transport, during transport, the activities have to be managed in a such a way so that there should be the minimum stress, injury, hunger, thirst, malnutrition, fear, distress, physical and thermal discomfort, pain, as well as the disease. And observe the conditions set in the law of the land, which are available worldwide. Of course, in India, they are also available, so they have to be followed according to the transport rules. The journey has to be minimized, or rather, we can say, as soon as possible, the animal has to be transported. Meat animals need during the journey. Animals must be fit for the intended journey. Means of transport as well as the loading and unloading facilities have to be designed in a such a way or constructed have to be in a such a way so that the injury should not be there and suffering of the animal should not be there. Ensure the safety of the animals and persons handling the animals must be trained and the competent. Transport should not be delayed to the place of the destination. All the welfare conditions should be regularly checked as well as they have to be maintained. There must be the sufficient floor area, height, as well as the space requirement, which has been mentioned by the government or the BIS specifications. The water, feed, rest at the suitable interval must be followed. The use of electrical stimulation or allopathic tranquilizers, they are not permitted during loading as well as unloading of the animals. For slaughter, it should be on the human base, or rather you can say that it has to be in a manner which minimizes the stress as well as the suffering, and all the national rules have to be followed which have been framed for slaughter of the animals. Water supply must be there, it has to be taken care of. Quality of the water should satisfy the requirement of the potable water. It should have the proper ventilation. Illumination should be sufficiently strong, properly situated, and there should not be or it should not cause the glare. Personal hygiene should also be maintained. The person should wear the special clothing of washable material and he should be the proper trained with respect to hygiene as well as the disinfection. The requirement for the organic production of the goat products. The goats are sold for the organic meat raised under the organic management from the last third of the gestation to slaughter. It means if we are producing the kits for the organic meat, then they have to be produced on the organic basis from the last third of the gestation up to the slaughter age. Similarly, for the fiber producing, they have to be produced again from the last third of the gestation. But for the organic milk, the animals have to be fed and managed organically for the previous 12 months. So this slide indicates from third part of the gestation to slaughter, the meat has to be produced, but for the milk production, the entire period of the 1 year have to be taken up for production of the organic milk. The rams and bucks, they are not needed at all to be organic unless they are sold as slaughter animals or used for the fiber production. It means whatever males we are using for the breeding purpose, there is a no need to be organic. Offspring from the females used to produce the organic milk not need to be raised organically. In a similar fashion, if we have certain kids which are only being used to let down the milk, then it is up to you. you can rear them through the organic chain or you can rear them through the natural chain. The data recording is must for the organic farming. This is one of the most important management tool in case of the livestock production. It provides the full description of the herd, maintains the health, breeding, the production, and the each animal with a particular UIN, means unified number, have to be ear tagged in terms of the two-way plastic ear tag or the three-way additional RFID microchip tag, so that we can go for the proper data recording. And one important thing is this tag should not be recycled and used on the other animal. The welfare, as number of times we have already clarified, this is one of the most important component in the organic farming system. So there should be reasonable harmony with the environment, physically as well as the psychologically. Environment must be within adaptability of the animal involved, and whatever production system we are following, it should have the naturalness, it should have the harmony in all the levels of the production system, it should have the local circulation of the resources, and objective should be the principle of precaution. It means every stop, whatever we are going to take under the organic farming system, it should have the precautionary measure. And ultimately, the good quality of the animal life. So whatever we are doing, this is only being done for the good quality of the animal life. We have the different organic livestock standards, just like the International Federation of Organic Agriculture Movement, IFOM, then Codex by FAO, Organic Federation of the Australia standards, similarly Philippine National Standards, Bureau of Agriculture and Fisheries Product Standards, USDA Organic Program Standards, then European Union Standards by Belgium. In India, we have developed our own organic standards, and largely they are based on the International Federation of Organic Agriculture Movement 2000. And accordingly, we could draw or we could develop the National Program for Organic Production, which is generally said to be as the NPOP, during May 2001. And this program is covered under the National Accreditation Program notified by the Ministry of the Commerce. So this entire situation or the program is being covered under the Ministry of Commerce. This is the system. And in this system, under the government of India, basically we have the two ministries, the Ministry of Commerce as well as the Industry and the Ministry of the Agriculture. We have so many departments for the production of the organic standards. We have APIDA for the accreditation of the different, the units. But ultimately, if we see the last row, this is only being done through the farmers, the operators, as well as the different producers. So it means that everyone in India is involved in the production chain if we talk about the organic farming system. In India, the aim of the national program for organic production to provide the means of evaluation of the certification program for the organic agriculture as well as the products, to accredit certificate programs of the certification bodies. It means the certification bodies as well as the producers, both are being given the certificates or the evaluation programs to facilitate the certification of the organic products in conformity with NSOP, to encourage the development of organic farming and the organic processing, to facilitate certification of the organic products in conformity with the important countries' organic standards. So we are not only developing our own standards, but we are also seeing the possibility or the flexibility of the products which can be exported to the different programs. So accordingly, we are modifying or we are changing the set rules or the rules which are required for the other countries in order to export the different organic products. These are the different accreditation agencies for the organic certification in India. We have APIDA, we have Coffee Board, then Tea Board, and then Spices Board. So these are the different boards or the accreditation agencies which can certificate or which can issue the certification program for the organic products. Basically, it includes the steps like receipt of the application, then agreement, then verification, and finally the certification decision is made whether the approval has been granted or not. If approval has been given, then organic certification mark is issued. And this is a particular trademark. This is India Organic. This is granted on the basis of compliance with the National Standard for Organic Production, that is NSOP. And of course, this symbol is owned by the government of India. Any exporter, manufacturer, or the processor can use this license, but this can only be used certified when the product has been certified by the accredited certification bodies. Otherwise, the symbol or the mark cannot be used. This shows universal purity. Each and every color or the part of this symbol signifies something. For example, the cosmic force in the blue, it refers the universal purity. Then golden brown refers the richness of the soil nourished with the natural ingredients. Then green, color of the nature as well as the natural products. The blue background is indicator of Earth's environment congenial for the life to thrive, free from pollution as well as the harmful chemicals. But this symbol, or you can say the mark, can only be used by any of the producer which has the certification. Otherwise, no. If we see this data, then presently the organic livestock farming is being used at 72 million hectare land worldwide, and it is increasing day by day. If we compare last year to this year, then there is an increase by 1.6%. And the top three countries which are having the topmost land with regard to the organic production, they are Australia, then Spain, then Argentina, like this. And similarly, we have 3.1 million the organic farms. And over the period, it has shown the annual increase of 13%. And the top countries having the maximum organic farms are, of course, India, Uganda, and then Ethiopia. At the same time, if we see the global organic market, then the total global market is more than 106 billion euros. And the top three countries with regard to the organic market are USA, Germany, as well as the France. And accordingly, this business is going on. So finally, we can say at this moment, the things are in positive manner. The organic things are being produced in the desirable fashion, and it is showing the definitely the good trend or the growing trend. In our country, the current scenario states how we can go for the organic production, specifically in case of the goat. Our country is bestowed with a lot of potential to produce all varieties of the organic products due to various agroclimatic conditions. Because we have various agroclimatic conditions, so definitely we can think for the organic production. And inherited tradition of the organic farming is an added advantage. Because since long we are following the organic production system. So again, we can think, rather we can say, we are more master as compared to other countries in order to reflect or show that we have inherited this tradition for production of the organic farming. So accordingly, we feel that there is a scope for organic producers to tap the market, growing steadily in the domestic as well as the export sector. Of course, if we talk about today's situation, then India ranks 6th in terms of world's organic agriculture land. and first in terms of the total number of the producers as per this data. But however, we have to do a lot in order to capture the export market. The total area under organic certification process at present in India is 10.17 million hectare. It is covering 5.3 million hectare under cultivated area and 4.78 million hectare under wild harvest collection. There is large area under the organic certification in the different states, and the highest is with Madhya Pradesh, followed by Maharashtra, Gujarat, Rajasthan, Odisha, like this. And India has produced 2.9 million metric tons certified organic products. Of course, this includes the various variety of the food products. The contribution of the livestock products is marginal, very, very marginal. The most of the categories belong to the agriculture side, but of course, now this is the time we have to focus on the livestock products also. The total volume of the export during 2020 and 23, it was 3.12 lakh million tons, and its realization was approximately 5.52 thousand crore Indian rupees. And the major exports were done with respect to US, European Union, Canada, Great Britain, Switzerland, Turkey, so like this. So now situation is improving and we are seeing the scope for the organic animal production, specifically the goat production. Now we have the different constants, and the constants include the lack of awareness among the guidelines of the organic livestock as well as the poultry production. Very few organic certifying agencies in India. This includes the major labor intensive as compared to the traditional farming system. This system seems to be cumbersome for the ordinary farmers because the documentation of all the processes as well as the activities seem to be very, very complicated or the tedious. And the marketing of the produce, it is another way of problem or the constant where we have to think about. Lower productivity as compared to the conventional farming system. Of course, we have to expect it. Then the organic production and the certification, this is costly as compared to the conventional system when we talk about the unit production. Then organized market for the organized livestock products is yet to evolve in the country. So these are the different constants where we have to focus or we have to give the more stress so that we could have attraction towards the organic livestock production system, and this system should flourish in the desired fashion. Finally, I would like to say organic farming is not about turning back the clock, but it is about moving forward.